Howdy, folks. Hellcracks. We have the next edition of Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, and we're going to be covering the Shadow Hawk. The Shadow Hawk is a mech that suffers from a lot of problems. Let's just go over, first of all, it's a 55-ton medium mech up at the upper range. It's a 5.83 moving vehicle, and it carries 12 heat sinks, and it's missing like 2 tons of armor on it to max that out. In its standard form, it comes with an AC5, an LRM5, an SRM2, and a medium laser. So you're looking at roughly, if you hit with everything and maxed out all your damage, you're gonna do 19. There's some light mechs out there that can do more than you know that. And that's one of the problems you have with the Shadowhawk, is that it's not really a great mech at all. It suffers from so many problems, and we'll just talk about that. The biggest problem it has, it carrying around this AC5, and an AC5 just with ammo is 9 tons. You're using 9 tons of weapon space to do 5 points damage. You can put in 1 ton of for a medium laser and do 5 points damage, even though the range is decreased from that. But for bang for your buck, you can't beat a medium laser. Or for only 2 tons and 1 ton of ammo, so for 3 tons, 1/3 of the cost, you can do 5 points damage with a LRM5 and get the range. So you can see the problem here. So if you really want to look at it, you could take that AC5 and chop it down and put another AC or LRM5 on it, and you would have the same amount of damage output, and tie it in with the LRM5 to share the ammo, and there you go. You still got 3 tons to do stuff with. Now, another problem it suffers is that the jump jets, it only jumps 3. It's a 5.83. So for 1 ton missing, you could add, from that AC5, you could throw it over there and give it that extra 2 points of movement. There's been many times with the standard 2H version, and you want to go someplace. Oh, geez, I only got 3 jump, but I want to get over here. So you can't get over this building, or you can't get behind this cupboard. And if I had that extra 2, I could have gotten there. I could have done that jump I needed. But no, now I have to just do that short jump, and then the next turn get to where I need to be. So you can see the problem there. Now there's a couple variants in it. There's the 2D. Basically, it reduces the armor for another SRM, so that's 1 ton, and another medium laser. So you're adding 2 more tons, and you're stripping that from the armor, and then you add in 2 more heat sinks, which you strip from the armor. So I'm not a big fan of that. So you're now running around with a medium mech with light mech armor, so you can have more heat sinks and some more short range weapons, and still carrying around that AC5. Now the 2K version is that it strips off the PP, or the AC5 gives it a PPC and 17 heat sinks, but you're still running around with a, 2K also gets rid of the medium laser and SRM2. So you're stripping out damage output. So the most you can do is 15. The PPC, I understand. Even with 2 heat sinks of the older version, you could cut that AC5 and use that tonnage and add another just 1 heat sink, and retain some of the other stuff that's on the standard version, and still make it a better mech. All right. So I'm just that's one of the biggest problems. Is this mech is just kind of a mess to begin with. So you're just kind of looking at it. What can you do with this thing? All right. One of the most common things I always like doing with it is get rid of the AC5, put a large laser on. All right. So you got, it's still 15 shooting out there. It does 8 points of damage, so it's an increase in damage. Yeah, it does 8 points. It has 8 points of heat, but you still got the 10, 12 heat sinks. And combine that with the heat sinks, the 12 heat sinks, and the LRM, which that LRM doesn't put out a lot of heat. So between the two of them, it doesn't have to heat up at long range. You can fire those two things. The only time you're going to heat up is if you're going to jump, and then if I'm jumping, I'm not really probably not worrying about using that LRM to begin with. So it's here nor there. And so with that extra 4 tons, what I like to do is increase the jump jets, put a ton into there. That leaves you with what, 3 tons left. I like to put another 2 points into 2 medium lasers, so you got 3 now. And then you can either go with another heatsink or put it into armor. All right, increase it a little bit more. That 16 points of armor does make a big difference sometimes in the game without getting just smashed down. Now the other thing I like to do is take that same 2H and get rid of that AC5 and either give it an LRM 15. So now it has an LRM 15 with that tonnage. So you're still got something shooting long range, can do up to 15 points of damage, which is a major increase in what you have. And then you're able to kick that into a couple more medium lasers, or give yourself 2 SRM2s, all right, and share that 1 ton of ammo. So at short range, you can dish out a little bit more, more damage with that thing. So that's just some of the ideas. I like the 2 different versions. Either put a large laser on it or give it an LRM 15, which is kind of like the Griffin. All right. We'll get into that. The Griffin also is one of those mechs that suffers from the same the problem as the Shadow Hawk. It's in the same tonnage range. But now, tactically wise, being a 5.8, it's able to move from position to position. But the one thing it does suffer from that jump jet problem, and I'm more inclined at times to either downgrade that AC5 or get rid of the SRM2s. All right, that's 2 tons right there. 1 ton going to jump jets, and then give it another medium laser to counteract not having that SRM2. All right. Then if you have a 5.85, this kind of wakes up the mech a little bit more. It gives you a little more diversity. You go out there and hit your targets in more efficient way. So you can move through and get into like a wooded area, jump behind a building, either to try to get that partial cover, or if you really want to, if you go with the version like I was saying where you have the 5.85 and you got a bunch of medium lasers, you can jump behind somebody or get into that flank that you're looking at, and then just pump a bunch of medium lasers and maybe that SRM2 that you have, or that large laser, at the closer range. All right, so there you go. So with all that, it's one of those mechs that needs help. It needs to be redesigned. There's some better mechs out there, and when the year 3050 rolls around, that with the new level 2 technology that comes out, this mech will wake up. You know, I have some versions of the Shadow Hawk that I really enjoyed, and it becomes a basis of a command mech for me at the 55 ton range. But it takes to the 30-50 time scale to actually do that. But with that being said, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on all of that, because it's one of those mechs. I like the mech, but it needs help, and with help, it can be a decent mech. And once it's changed a little bit with some tweaks, I'm always using it. It always finds a way into my army. You know, it's always going to be in a lance, because be it a medium at the high end with a 5.85 with some adjustments, this makes a great escort for your lights. You know, it's not as fast as a lot of your lights, but it has the capability to help out your scout lances, and that's where it finds its place, is in the scouting role, and more of that way is a command scout. So, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. This is Hulk Ricks, and you guys have a great day.